under such challenges this year and continuing with the controversy after the election, but powering higher, how important does tech continue to be in this dynamic, and how much of it is just optimism about hopefully coming out of this pandemic?
Well, I think that the markets are really broadening, and I think this week we started the week really flirting with 30,000 in the Dow, and then coming to the thought that now the cases had risen and the death tolls had risen to over 250,000, and we're dealing with really the lack of transition for the presidents. And the impediment to, having a vaccine. And, the vaccine is really out there. And we're looking at, the markets are really looking past COVID and looking to the future and pricing that in. And I think the tech stocks are starting really, we talked about last time value and having exposure to value managers. And I think, value pushed in a little bit this week and growth kind of, pulled back. And I think, the tech stocks really overall are going to perform. But I think the market is broadening and more stocks are coming into play. And I think that's a good thing for the market on the long run.
Well, now let's focus in on some of the social issues that you try to bring into play in your investments. You say you're in the process of understanding how to measure the impact of that in your portfolio, especially when it comes to long-term value. What are you using for measurement?
Well, right now we are just in the very first stages of looking at ESG, and we look at ESG really as a tool to provide us with more information on how to really evaluate companies and evaluate managers. And I think, this health pandemic and this racial pandemic, as one of my colleagues described it, has really made us even more committed to diversity. But it makes us also rethink how environmental, social, and governance issues really overlap and are connected. And, from this aspect of it, we're using, SASB and other tools to kind of measure ESG scores and looking at those things across all of our companies and across all of our managers. And, we're just trying to understand the impact of ESG on our portfolio in a more holistic way, looking at ESG factors not only as a means to manage risk, but also as a means to create long-term value. And I think, it's really just additional data that helps us to make better investment decisions, and incorporating extra metrics into the investment process, really can only lead to produce, positive results for us.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.